Welcome back to another video of the channel. My name is Julio. Thanks for tuning in. Before we get started, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and let's get down to business. So today we're going to be talking about Cisco CDP, also known as Cisco Discovery Protocol. What is it and what is it used for? Before we get into the lab, let's get inside the details. So Cisco Discovery Protocol, CDP, is a layer 2 network discovery protocol developed by Cisco. It enables network devices to share information about themselves and their directly connected neighbors. To carry CDP information on a Cisco device, the primary command used is show CDP neighbors. This command displays information about directly connected Cisco devices, including their device ID, platform, capabilities, and interface information. And here's an example of the show CDP neighbor command on Cisco devices. All right, so here's a breakdown of the command and its output. The command is show CDP neighbors detail. The purpose behind this is to display detailed information about CDP neighbors that includes local interface, the interface on the local device to which the neighbor is connected, device ID, the host name or device ID of the neighbor, platform, the platform, which includes switch model, router model of the neighbor, capabilities, information about the neighbor's capabilities, that it might be a router, a switch, or maybe a host, interface, the interface of the neighbor device that is connected to the local device, address, the network address, IP address of the neighbor, version, the software version running on the neighbor, and last, hold time, the remaining time in seconds before the CDP information for the neighbor is aged out. All right, so let me break it down to you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to configure the router with the corresponding IP address. We're also going to jump into switch number 1. We're going to configure VLAN 10 on the VLAN database, and then we're going to configure the interface VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address. And then we're going to jump into switch number 2 and switch number 3, and we're going to do exactly the same thing we're going to do in switch number 1. We're going to configure the VLAN 10 on the VLAN database, and we're also going to configure the interface VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address. So we have the commands here that we're going to be configuring in all the equipment, the router and the 3 switches initially just to get connectivity up. And then we're going to do a show CDP NA, show CDP NA details. And we're also going to do a show CDP NA, the interface detail, just to get an overview on a specific device. So now that we covered all the essentials behind Cisco CDP, let's go inside CML and let's get started with the lab. Let's get it, guys. All right, so we're inside CML now. We're gonna start configuring the router with the swing interface for VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address, and then we're gonna jump into the 3 switches. All right, so we're in switch number 1 now. We're gonna start configuring VLAN 10 on the VLAN database. We're also gonna be configuring interface VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address, do a no shot, and for last, we're gonna be configuring the interfaces that are gonna be used to connect the switches from one side to the other as trunks so we can pass tag frames from VLAN 10 from one switch to the other. All right, so we're in switch number 2. We're gonna be doing the exact configuration as switch number 1. We're gonna be configuring VLAN 10 on the VLAN database, the interface VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address, and the interface that are gonna be connecting the switches from one side to the other as trunks. All right, now we are in switch number 3. We're gonna be doing the exact configuration as the other 2 switches. We're gonna be configuring VLAN 10. In the VLAN database, we're also gonna be configuring interface VLAN 10 with the corresponding IP address. And we're also gonna be configuring the interfaces that are gonna be used for connecting the switches from one side to the other as trunks. Alright, so now that we finished configuring all the switches, I'm gonna do a ping test towards them from the router just to make sure I got layer 3 connectivity. And as you can see, I can reach the 3 switches with no issues. Alright, so if I do a show CDP name, you're gonna see the basic information regarding the device ID, local interface, hold time, capability, platform, port ID. So Ethernet 0/0 is the interface, the local interface on this router that is being used to learn switch number 1. And on the switch side is using Ethernet 0/0, which is identified in port ID. Alright, so if I do a show CDP NA Ethernet 0/0 detail, which is specific to that interface, you're gonna see the IP address. You're also gonna see the version that the switch is running, the iOS version, and you're also gonna see the peer source MAC address as well. Alright, so I'm gonna jump into switch number 1, and I'm gonna configure a username and password, and I'm also gonna enable the line BTY, the remote access to it. And you're gonna see that from the router, once via CDP, you know the information regarding the IP address of the switch. You're gonna be able to telnet to it or SSH to it, as long as the line BTY does not have an access list that is revoking any type of access from a specific subnet or specific address. Now I'm gonna go to the router and I'm gonna try to telnet 192.168.1.2. And I'm gonna put my credentials, and as you can see, I have access to the switch now. I'm gonna do a show CDP name, and as you can see, I'm learning the router via Ethernet 0/0, and I'm learning switch number 2 via Ethernet 0/1. Alright, I'm gonna jump to switch number 3. I was gonna disable only the CDP on a per interface basis, but I'm just gonna do it globally. So I'm just gonna type no CDP run. Alright, so I'm gonna do a show CDP name on switch number 2. You're guys still gonna see switch number 3 being learned via Ethernet 0/1, but I'm gonna do a clear CDP table, which is gonna erase everything that I've been learning. And after a few seconds, switch number 1 is gonna pop in, but switch number 3 is not gonna be visible anymore. Alright, so let's wait a couple more seconds here. And as you can see, switch number 1 already appears on the CDP table, but switch number 3 does not, and that's because we disable CDP globally on switch number 3. Alright, so this is all for today's lab. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give it a like, and as always, this is Julio. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.